My next guest needs no introduction. He has over 130,000 followers on TikTok, has accrued millions and millions of views, is one of my best friends and inspirations. Yao Boateng. Enjoy. Did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Well, I can't fight Halo. Last time I seen a shorty like you, my friend. Get these all synced up. All right. So, welcome back to another episode of the Tyrone Rose Show. It is Monday, October 11th. I'm here with none other than the man himself, Yao Boateng.
What's going on?
Jumpinonanotherjet. How you doing, man? Thanks for showing.
Thank you. Big fan of the podcast.
Yep.
Glad I could be on. It's been a long time coming, but I'm glad it was for this one because I actually have something interesting to say.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've been waiting to do an interview. Originally, that wasn't going to be my whole thing. I was like, I just wanted to be me. Let me get my voice out there for a bit, hear my own sounds. And I feel pretty comfortable now. It's funny. It's crazy. I've never actually told you this, but you are a big, big inspiration for me, man. It's funny because I was thinking when I was in high school and college, I always thought I'm someone who's naturally a leader. I'm outspoken, et cetera, and I've always been it's weird. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm inspired by the people around me, and I always had admiration for the people around me, but I was never dang, that this person I'm trying to be like this person. Yeah. Until I met you. Yeah. And when I met you, man, I was like, yo, this guy can get anything done, do anything that's possible. I mean, even your personality, was something I was trying to shoot for my own self. I was like, this guy treats people with so much kindness, just very delicate with people, always considers other sides. Yeah. And I always consider other sides, but the way you went about it was always just I don't know, man. To me, it was just a great way to go about it. I appreciate it. And so, yeah, I've never actually told you this, but I was like, yeah, Yao, number one, he's my guy, but two, you're definitely a big inspiration for me, man.
I truly appreciate it.
And, we wouldn't even be streaming, really, without you, because you were like, yo, T, come on the streams with me, and we were just playing. What was the game we were playing?
Oh, man. What was it?
Starbound.
Starbound, yes.
Yo, man, I loved it. I love
the series so
much.
Man,
we got to bring that back, low-key, man. Yes. Oh, man, it was so fun. But, you showed me the way, and I've always wanted to do a lot of these things. I mean, when we met, it was in college. Yeah. And I've always wanted to make a film, short film, whatever. And I was like, dang, I need someone to help me bring this to life. And it just seems that whenever I'm trying to make these steps, man, you're always there. So I appreciate it, man. I never feel like I've gotten to tell you that. Yeah. So I think this was the perfect platform, the perfect thing. And I was like, you got to be my first guest.
I appreciate it.
And then it's crazy. It's when you went viral on TikTok, I was like, you'd have to bring me into it or do anything, but you just thought of me, and I'm like, man, this guy, he's my guy.
But there's a reason why, because everything you were saying about me is exactly how I feel about you. It's when you're talking about, there's people that I admire. I literally admire you. I like the things that you do, the attention to detail that you have to the projects that you do. I watch. I study it as you, I study it as a piece of you. And so the way that you go about it, when I take on similar projects, like me with web design, when I'm trying to take it on, I'm thinking in the way that you think before I start to execute. So in the same respect that you have for me, I have that totally.
I appreciate that, my man. No, I mean he's being humble.
No, not even.
This guy's being humble, but honestly, it's just crazy. Just even Next Level Gaming and some of these things too, man. It's the way you go about it is just, that's the way I like to go about my stuff too. It's just so it's funny you say that. I felt like I've mirrored you a lot, but also we've been able to have some back and forth with things. Yes. And I mean with Next Level Gaming, for example, that was just, we met Calvin. He presented this idea. We're sitting there spitballing. And that's what happens. Yes. Sometimes you just get in a room with people. There's certain people you have an energy where you just start spitballing. But all right, man, that's enough, blowing this guy. I mean, he's great, but
we could have a whole separate podcast on how much we admire each other.
Yeah, man, I really do. This guy he's something else for real. But the reason I really brought him on today is because I was always fascinated with the ideas Black Panther. Let's talk about Black Panther as a great transition. So we all seen that. I always thought it was interesting how the way T'Challa went about things. He was like coming from this African perspective, and you know he's got the African parents, and you know just that whole different thing. And then you look at Killmonger, and it's like the only major difference is, I mean, his parents loved him and all that stuff, and he had the separation, but he had more of the American treatment where it's like, you know, separated parents, you're going through this struggle, and it felt like, you know, I feel like there's this stereotype with Africa where it's like, oh, everyone thinks you're in huts, and, you know, they're not civilized and all this stuff. Yeah. And I came across some TikToks, and these TikToks, man, it's just like, you just see this lavish life, this culture, this world that you don't see. Yeah. Or in Western media, you don't see, they don't show us. And it just felt like there's this huge community. And what's sad, but also kind of funny, is like, when black people talk about Africa, it's like we be talking about Wakanda, like Wakanda's a real place. I'm like,
but that's the benefit of having Wakanda, because now it's like, you know, the original stereotypes of Africa was what you were mentioning, the huts and this and that. But Wakanda brought it to like, all right, this is Africa now. And the best part about it is Wakanda. That city part of Wakanda, that was there. Yeah. But there were scenes where T'Challa was walking down the village. Yeah. And that's how it is now. It's like it's a fusion of those two worlds.
Yeah, and it's cool. I just always thought that was cool. But so you, obviously your family comes from Ghana. Yeah. I found out that my family comes from Nigeria. I did one of those 23andMe tests. And that's another thing that's interesting too, is like growing up, you always hear, you know, white kids are like, oh, I'm 20% Italian and 20% free. Like when you from like America, you're African American, you're just like, I'm black. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something I want to do down the line is, you know, hit Nigeria, you know, cooler with some Nigerians. I mean, we can get into the whole Jollof rice thing, you know, enemies right here, but
important.
And
I have to steer you right though. I have to.
I've had both, and I gotta lean with my people, but it's all good. But we can discuss that. Maybe what we'll do is we have to have a test video. When we just try the different versions of these things.
Yeah, just like side by side. I think it would be
definitely perfect. And let know the differences. But Ghanaian's more basmati rice, right?
It's
or like it's like a thinner.
It's a thinner rice. But it's less wet. Like the rice is less wet. So it's like, but the Nigerian one, it's a little bit more like stew in there. It's a little. I don't mean to say anything, but it's a little bit watery.
Man, my Nigerians, man, you let him know in the comments below what you think. If you're listening on the podcast, just look it up. But so you recently went back to Ghana. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, why were you there? Was there anything you could share with us? Because I mean, it's cool to see how you have these two perspectives, man. Like, you were sending me a couple snaps I've seen, and you had put them in your story, and it was just so strange because like 24 hours before, it's like you're in fast-paced Worcester, everything's moving, the city, all that, and then all of a sudden I see you're like around sheeps and goats. Yeah. And like you're like, man, like you're like, it's not like this uncivilized place that they make it, but you're like, I still got to drive 4 hours, 5 hours to get places
to short distances. Like that was the biggest headache. But I'll definitely go into all of that.
Yeah. So start us off. Like, what were you doing there?
So I was in Ghana for my grandmother's funeral. I should say celebration of life, because that's the more accurate way to say what I experienced when I went to Ghana. And so, first getting there was a whole issue on itself. I'll go into that a little bit because it'll bring to light the issues that COVID has brought as far as traveling goes. So the first day that I went, I got a COVID test the day before because, I planned with my uncle and my dad, and they were like, these were the things that you had to get. The visa, you had to get...
you got to get a visa just to visit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So, typically that takes a while, but my family got connects, and they got it.
Man,
they got it quick.
See, that's why you got to get back to your roots, people, man. Like, you got to have them connects. Like,
connects is going to be a common theme with the entire
Perfect.
Story.
That's exactly what I hear, man. Yeah, like, the Boateng name means something out here. Oh man!
So I got the visa. I got the yellow card.
What's a yellow card?
The yellow card is a card with all your vaccinations on it. But
okay.
the ones in particular that you needed were the yellow fever and the malaria. And so you would need a yellow card to prove that you have them. Nobody checked for it. I'm gonna just say that right now. Nobody checked for it, but I had it. And the yellow fever vaccine, you're supposed to update it every 10 years, but it lasts your whole lifetime. So it's recommended, but not required. And so vaccination is good, but I had that test on Thursday. The results take 48 hours, up to 48 hours to receive, and you have to have the COVID test within a 72-hour window, which means realistically, at the worst case scenario, you have a 24-hour window to completely travel. Yeah. And by the time you land to Ghana, that COVID test still has to be valid. So that makes it a little bit of a struggle.
So it's really a lot of timing because you got to get the test, make sure you can get the results back and all this stuff. Man,
exactly.
Crazy.
So
now is that specific to Ghana and Africa, or
no?
Is
That's
most
travel
places?
In general.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
Ghana in general, it's the 72-hour. Every country has their own little criteria on what you need, but Ghana it's stringent. Like that. What I went through was ridiculous as far as COVID went. Yeah. So the first day I didn't get my results. I called the hospital. They were like, "All right, call back tomorrow." Yep. And then so we went to the airport, went back. The next day, I had my results, but my brother's test results were expired at that time. So then we had to go back again, get tested. They charged $250 at the airport to have the same day test results back. I didn't explain why. So whoa.
Yes. $250?
$250.
I can go to CVS and get one for $20.
Right.
What?
And there's the reason why that CVS test wouldn't work is because they require a specific test that's called the PCR test. It's supposed to check for this like this it tests
all types
for
of virus in
particular. And so if you take a rapid test, which tells you instantly, it doesn't have the PCR, so it doesn't count. So any of those cheap, like $20, your insurance back test, any of that, nope. It's only that PCR test. And then they charge so much at the airport, $250 for it. I had ways. I didn't pay $250. I had ways.
If you need a workaround, follow Jumpinonanotherjet on TikTok, man. DM my guy and maybe
travel tips. That's my next thing.
Right, maybe we'll figure that out.
For real. Yeah. But I said no to that. I had my ways, and then we were able to fly the next day. So by that time it was Sunday, and so we flew. Everything was nice. When we landed, we paid for a test over there too. So like when you land, you take a test there, and that one is the old one that goes all the way up your nose. I thought we were done with that, but no, they were all the way to my brain.
The first time I got that, I was like, brain blast, like you know what I'm saying, like man, I was like.
Yeah, it was.
I felt like I was in the '60s with Jimi Hendrix or something, man. I was like, "What's going on?" Like, shoot.
It felt like the old days.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Not our old days. The old days.
No. Yeah, we don't. No, we don't do that.
Yeah, gotta clarify that. But
it's not us.
Yeah.
Just be you, but not that.
Yeah. Shoot. So we get there. Everything's cool.
Yeah.
I'm getting my bags and I'm going through airport security, and the guy's like, "What's in your bag?" Because I had a duffel bag with my equipment to record the funeral. Yep. And so I was like, "Oh, my cameras." He was like, "Open it up." I opened it up. I had 2 cameras in there, tripods, the whole 9. And the guy was like, "Did you declare it in the U.S.?" I was like, "Declare it."
Declare it.
Yeah. I was like, "These are my personal items."
Declare it. Yeah. I mean, even the statement "declare," it's like, man, like
that's what I'm saying.
It's like war. Like, you going to war? Like,
did I bring a gun or something?
Right?
Yeah. So he was like, "You got to declare it because you got to pay duty tax on it." And I was like, when he said duty tax, it rang an alarm because duty tax I know all too well. I this past year I've bought some stuff from China. Yeah. And duty tax, you pay a percentage on the value of whatever it is that you're bringing in. In Ghana's case, it's 20%. So the cameras that I brought, it was 20% of the value that I would just have to pay.
But wait. Let's just take a step back, man. Right. Uncle Sam's out of control. Okay?
No, this is not Uncle Sam. This is Uncle Kwame. This is Uncle Kwame. He's wild.
Oh man, but so but this is what I'm not understanding. So you pay 20% on stuff that you already own?
Right. That's what they were trying to get me into. And I was like, oh, no, I know way better than that.
It make no sense.
This is my personal item.
Yeah.
I get the reason why. It's because it's easy to, let's say, you bought a bunch of stuff from America and you just brought it in. Like,
T-shirts, whatever. Yeah.
You're avoiding all of the shipping stuff that you would have normally get charged by just bringing it yourself.
Right.
In my case, they are my items. So there was nothing to sell. If I were to take 5 trips, I basically pay the value of everything that I have in duty taxes.
Right.
No reason.
That's crazy.
So I was like, this doesn't add up. And the guy, this is when I knew. Yeah. The guy was like, I'll let everything go if, you take care of me and your passport. And I was like, take care of you and my passport. And then I was like, man, here's what I'm walking into. Man. Then I called my uncle and he was like, yeah, that's so typically it's like when they can get away with it, like people in authority, they'll try to like take briberies and things like that.
Of course, yeah.
But if their supervisors there, they don't, they're like worried about it. But in that particular case, I was like, all right, I'm gonna walk back and I'm gonna come back later. Came back around to another guy. The other guy was just like, hey man, if you see me around, just buy me a drink. I was like, yeah, cool. And then let me through. So
this is when you arrived in Ghana?
Right when I arrived, yeah.
Got it. Okay, got you. So was your family already there at that point?
Uncle, yeah.
Your uncle was already there? Yeah.
So my uncle was waiting for me in the main city, Accra.
So, so what's it called?
Accra.
So was any of your parents over there? Was it just your uncle?
It was just my uncle. So a few of my uncles. Because they were there for the funeral.
Yeah.
But they were my uncle, as in like my dad's friend. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't blood relative, but
yeah. I got aunts,
exactly.
aunties and stuff. Yeah.
But my blood uncle was the one who was like making sure we were good.
Got you. Yeah. So that's a great transition. And so. When you get over there, is it one of those situations where it's like you need to kind of have someone who's from around you, to know what's going on?
Absolutely.
Or,
more than that, because like you're like in that space, it's like if they know that they like there's certain things like a taxi driver, right? If they see you fresh from the airport, you don't know your way around, the fee is gonna be 2 or 3 times as much as it is. So like the first rule that I was taught was like whatever they telling you, do half. Like that's where the real price is around. And so it's like, but for me, I'm the value of $1 there is, so it's 6 cities to $1. And it's harder to make one city out there than it is to make $1 out here. So money comes easier here. It's harder out there. And so like, it just made more sense for me to like kind of pay at value around it.
Yeah, so it was like rather than dealing with the hassle back and forth, just So basically, long story short, you bring $100 over there, you're in pretty good condition.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, got you.
Like food, it would be around like 15 cities, which would be $2. Yeah, about $2. So like food would be around that range.
That's wild because I mean I think about that with this like I was looking the other day because one of my boys is from India and I was just thinking about like because he's gonna have a wedding soon. As I'm like, yo, if I send him something over there, like what would actually have value? Would it be me sending money? Or actually like buying something for him? Because the value over there, like a rupee is. It's crazy, and like the way my comparison I always look is like how much does a coffee cost? Because I'm like coffee here is about like $3.50 ish, depending where you go, and then so over there I think it was like 15 rupees or something. So I was like, all right, so if I send this man $100 and it ends up being like 2,000 rupees, I'm like, all right, that's X amount of coffees or something. You know what I mean? So or like rent money or something like that. Long story short, so what you're saying is when you came over there, it made more sense to just pay the fee rather than haggle and all that stuff, basically.
I haggled a lot. But where I could and where it didn't seem like they were going to try to rip me off, I would pay more. Like if there was somebody in a there were a lot of people like in stalls just selling stuff. Like the traffic was so bad that like people would come out on the road and like sell you stuff while you're parked in traffic.
Gotcha.
So in those situations, I'm like, all right, if I got a full bill, I'll just give it to them because tipping's not customary. It's like you pay what you pay.
Oh,
okay, okay. Like those sort of situations, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll give a little
tipping
more.
is the most American thing of all time, man. I tell you, like when I was in England, just for like the short amount of time I was there for 6 months, I was like, it's almost like a psychological thing too, because you're like, dang, I'm not gonna tip someone. Like they did me a service, and you start thinking about it when you come back to America. You're like, it sucks because the wages here are so low for so many things.
That's what it is, yeah.
But it's just like part of you be like, why is that my problem? You decided to open up a business. Why can't you pay?
Right. What is needed to be paid.
Right. Yeah.
Expect the customers to.
But obviously, we can't think that way. We live here, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I've always just found that fascinating. But what was like? So you get there. You're with your family. Are these people that you have known your whole life, or is it like you're meeting people for the first time kind of thing? Because like there's another like kind of stereotype. It's like, you go over there and it's like, oh, that's my cousin, or that's my family, that's my titi, or whatever it is, in Spanish. You're like, kind of thing,
That was the hardest part, because when we got to the village where the funeral was, which is Kwamite, we were there, and like as soon as I touched down, I was thinking like, I looked at this person, I was like, he kind of looks like my dad. All right, he might be family. But it wasn't always the case. Like, so for me, I was with my uncle. But then I was with my cousin, which in our culture, he's like my older brother. And so when I was with him, he was like, all right, he was basically like bodyguarding me. Like, make sure you do this. Like if I left a drink undrink and I didn't drink it, like he would say, he would be like, throw it away. He was on top of me. He's 39. So when I was like real young, I should mention this too. I went to Ghana when I was 6 years old. So
So just background story.
Yeah.
You were born in America.
Yeah.
But your family was straight from Ghana. Yeah. Right? Okay, so how did they end up in America basically then?
Two different ways. My dad went all over. He was he was in Taiwan, then Italy, and then eventually ended up in America. And then my mom
traveling. That's where you get it from.
There
you go.
And then my mom was just straight to America. And then they happened to meet in New Jersey. And
that's crazy. Wow. There you go, man. Another interesting thing too is when we met, we have another brother named Yao, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I remember being like, huh?
Yeah.
Because so it's funny because that experience is very similar to me because I'm Tyrone Jr.
Yeah.
So I would always Tyrone, but talking about my dad.
You and your dad were both
so my name, like what my family actually called me, isn't even Tyrone. I have a nickname, which you're not gonna hear on the stream because that's kind of how you keep the handshakes behind doors. Right, you know who's who. But so it was interesting to me. I was like, how do you differentiate who your parents are talking to when they're calling you and stuff? But before we even get into that quick little question, why do you have the same name as your brother?
All right, so the tribe that I belong to is the Ashanti tribe, and then within the tribe, it's a custom to name the children after the days of the week, even if you don't name them. Like parents will call them by that name. Yeah. So in my case, I was born on a Thursday. My brother was also born on a Thursday, so we're both named Yao. Yeah. And interestingly enough, when I went to Kwamite, I met like an infinite amount of Yaos. There were times.
Yo, this guy was like a Loki variant or something. Like he's in the multiverse. And like you're like, this guy's like, yo, he's like Yao. Yeah, it's like the Spider-Man meme. It's like Yao. Everyone's pointing at each other.
Exactly. Especially when I was with my brother. Yeah. And I'm talking with my cousin Yao. Yeah. And then my other cousin Yao comes. He's like, oh, I'm your cousin Yao.
So it's gonna sound stupid probably, but how do you even differentiate between people?
But that's the thing, you don't.
It's like, yo,
they just say Yao, and then there was so many times I'm like, huh? And they're like, oh no, I'm talking to Yao. I was like, okay. And then, but even after saying that, they'll say it again. But it's because I'm so used to being one of the only yaos in the room. But over there, it's like, you're just supposed to know. So, it was crazy, dude. But it was fun. It was definitely fun to just be in that little yao circle.
So, is it almost like in your home then? Like, how is it like the way that it's said? Like,
no,
it was just
at home it's easier because my parents refer to my brother by his middle name.
Okay,
and so, like for me, I'm Yao. When it's Yao, it's either Yao or they give me my full name. Yeah.
Oh man, that's just so funny. Man, I just like it's so hard for me to. I know it's a serious thing, but just thinking about you guys at this celebration, and it's like, hey Yao, now come up here, and you guys just all like, like, you know. Oh man. So all right, so you get over there. Your cousin's helping you out, hooking you up. Where are you guys staying? Is it like, is it in a hut? Is it in a hotel? Like, what's that?
Yeah, so it's a like they call it a guest house, which is like a kind of like a hostel, and it's very nice. It was like they had a fan there. Yeah. But one thing is there's no hot water. So like for me though, like at first I was like, oh man, this is bad. Yeah. But when you're out in the sun all day and it's like, you know, that
makes
showers.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Because I was thinking that too. I was like, would you even want a hot shower? It's kind of like, does it ever get cool like at night though?
At night it's so cool. At night and early in the morning. Like,
I feel like it'd be a perfect temperature almost.
Yeah, it's so nice. It's like I'm sitting outside most nights talking with my cousins or like anybody and just relaxing.
This again is another silly American question here, but I feel like people think when they go to Africa, it's like, all right, do I got to worry about like lions and stuff like that? Like, what's that world like?
So I mean, at least in like where I was, there weren't any like lions or anything like that. The only things you would have to worry about are like goats and sheep and things like that. But
we got that here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they just roam. Like they basically like. They'll walk with the people. Like it's like, you know, it's their town too.
Pigeons. They're the like, or squirrels. Yeah.
Chickens, all that stuff.
Right. So now here, like we use sheep for, you know, all types of different things and chickens walking around. Does anyone just pick those sheeps up or chickens and be like, hey, I'm going to make a meal?
No, all the time. And like all the food that I was eating was based off of what was there. So
you use the resources.
Yeah, all of the resources around. There's farms like within like 3-mile radiuses that people will go to and pick the goods.
And do they trade?
They'll sell it or trade or anything like that.
Because I was thinking about like, Carly asked me the other day, she was like, you know, is there one place you want to go? And I was thinking about Hawaii.
Yeah.
And she was telling me about, like, you know, how in Hawaii the export, like, it's you're better off getting something local because, like, you get a bag of Doritos, the price is crazy because they're importing it rather than like a factory or something nearby. So something like that, like Doritos, Tropicana, whatever. Was that readily available to you? And if it was the price crazy? Like, what was that like?
I didn't see any brands that I knew. The only recognizable brand I saw was a KFC. And then
a KFC?
Yeah.
You know that's so funny is when I was in England, I was walking around looking for some food and like KFC was the one spot there. And I was in Ireland and it was just a long night. KFC popped up. For like, if you ask me to guess all the things, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, KFC,
I don't know how they do it, but I mean, I guess it's like chicken is universal.
Yeah, it is. So it really is. Yeah. Did you try it at all?
Nah, I didn't. Because like I was just eating. Like I was always
fed. Eating good. You're eating good. So
every time I went to one of my family members' house, they would feed me right there. And then if I don't finish the food, they're like, "Oh, try some more." Like, they're stuffing me with food. I was not hungry.
Now, like one thing for everyone who's listening or watching the podcast, if you're listening and you want to see some of these visuals, go on to because Yao's gonna send me a couple of videos and clips too. Go over to the YouTube, just type in the Circle Club, and you can see the whole thing. But one thing I always do when I travel, it sounds stupid probably to most people. You're like, I'm not gonna eat that. I'm trying to experience the culture. Is I get McDonald's.
Yeah,
McDonald's because McDonald's in America is not the same thing around the world. Like. I've heard stories people say like, you know, in Ghana, like because they like more fruity flavors, like some of the drinks have more like a banana or, you know, a mango, these kind of flavors. And then the food itself, and then like in England, the chicken strips taste different. They have more fish kind of dishes. In Germany, I had these chicken wings. Man, it was risky. I was like, I don't know, man. Like chicken wings from McDonald's, but I got them and they was busting, man. Wow. They was like, yeah. So
I gotta try the German fried chicken from McDonald's.
I'm telling you, like, try it. It's funny too because it's a universal thing, you know, so you can have something to kind of compare it to, and you can always rely back on the fries, right? So, but was there anything that you tried food wise? Yeah.
There was a drink and it was called Sobolo.
Sobolo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was so my grandparents on my mother's side, they live in Kumasi, which is like Ashanti capital. So in Kumasi, they have a shop that's on the street called Magazine, and on it is like all like this is like the car part mecca of Ghana. So it's a bunch of different car parts. You're looking at like the fog lights, engine belts, like all this. You can see all the parts, and then down the street you got mechanics working on it. So it's like it's real cool. But when I was there was a lady going around and they just put a drink near me. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
She was like, "Try it." I smelled it. I was like, "It smells a little sharp." I'm wondering. So I drank it, and it was delicious. It's hibiscus and ginger. And,
interesting.
And it's so good. Me, I love ginger so much.
Yeah.
And Ghana loves ginger too.
Really?
They put it on everything.
That's funny. I mean, for me, because I always steer clear because I have motion sickness. So ginger is usually what you use for that. Yeah. So whenever I have ginger anything, it makes me think like, oh, like I'm really sick.
Yeah.
You said they put ginger on everything. Like what? Like the chicken, the
jollof. The base of our jollof is ginger. Ginger and Sobolo. My brother bought a drink. He thought it was a pina colada. There was ginger in it. Like
that's so funny.
Yeah.
What is there like an abundance of ginger or?
I'm sure there is. Yeah. Like it's a root, so it's easy for them to grow like amongst other things. So
got it.
But like just like the taste of it. Me personally, I'm a big ginger fan. I love it so much. Yeah. But now I see where it comes from.
You're like it's right in my DNA. Yeah. That's funny.
But interestingly enough, about the same place. So I walked that same street 20 years ago.
Okay.
I was walking with my uncle, and then somebody said, "Hey, say yo," and I'm looking, and he's like, "Oh, my uncle was pointing me over. He's like, this man, he used to watch you when you were 6.
What?
He recognized me from sight. And I was
gosh.
like, wow. And he was just telling me, oh, you're going and this and that. And that's when I was like, that goes into a topic which I hope to explore when about that home away from home. Because
perfect transition. Yeah. What? Yeah.
So once I saw that, I was like, wow, I really had a place no matter what. If I were to go to Ghana and I was to stay in that place, I would have family and people, not only just family, but that term, it takes a village. That's an African term, and it's for a reason. And that's what I would have even if I was there. And the worst thing that slavery did was rob Black Americans from that. Like that is it. When I felt that feeling, I felt sadness because of that.
No, like I think that to come full circle, what we started this podcast with is like that's why something like Black Panther resonated, I think, so much with so many people, because it was like so many of us feel like we're foreigners in this place that's supposed to be our home in America,
right?
And for you to have that place to go back to, where it's like you have somewhere to stay, love, whatever, like, and like the people most of the people have your intentions. There's no extra things like, oh, you look this way, you come from this thing. Because even it's funny because even, and I'm sure there's a little bit too in Africa, but like even like two Black people like, oh, you're from the East Coast and West Coast. There's kind of this thing, and it's like there's a lot of strange tribalism about things that have nothing to do with culture.
Right.
It's just location, or you're fighting for like scarcity or something like that. But when you told me, you were like, man, I feel like I came back from that place T'Challa went to.
Yeah.
I was like, I instantly knew what you meant, because I was like, like we just don't have that here. And like my family's from the South, and so growing up, you go down there, you see like the ranch, and the way people talk was different, the swagger, even the manners and peaches and all that stuff. And when you contrast that when you're up here in Massachusetts, it's like a lot of times it's strange to say out loud, but you feel like there's no culture.
Yeah.
There's no, we're experiencing entertainment and the things around us, but you're like, this has nothing to do with my family's history.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
There's not a tribe. Like it feels way more like in the South. You can see it in the churches where it's like everybody's coming together, and it's like, even though this person isn't your aunt, they're your aunt. Like those exactly that sort of family ship, which it's you have to kind of create that. Yeah, it's insane, because for me, I'm thinking like, all right, had I never taken that trip, I would have robbed myself from it when it was right there. Yeah, and I would have neglected the fact that I had it. And like before, when you were talking about the ancestry too, I was thinking, I was like, it would be a neat thing to do it, and then I don't know, hopefully it's like some way that other Nigerians do it, and then if it's a match, like go and see the tribe and
so that part. So that's what I think is cool too about it, is because once you make that connection on the 23, I use 23andMe, there's Ancestry, all type, My Heritage. I use 23andMe. It connects you with other people who have the similar DNA with you and stuff. Oh, okay. So like I saw some people with like second cousin, first cousin, and if you the more people you get to do it, the more DNA. So if I got my mom to do it, let's say, it would have even further like data. We have the same DNA, obviously, so it goes back and stuff, but somehow, some way, like the more people that do it, like it ends up connecting the dots.
It makes sense now, because like hers is like more directly with your
yeah. So it's like with mine, they're inferencing, but you just have an extra step, right? And so it's funny because I went back with what's it called, like Ancestry.com or something, and I started using like all these files, and I went back and further back and further back. And I could only, for some reason, well, not some reason, but I could only get back to my family's English roots. So it's like,
makes sense.
It's like, I'm like 17% English or something like that. And I could go back and you could see like the castle, and you could see, like photos and stuff. And that's cool too. Yeah. But it's kind of like you said, it's like you have this map, but half of it's missing. Yeah. Of this whole African history.
Yeah, and part of that is just like records weren't taken too, like just on on the Africans' part past a certain point. And it's like, for me, I'm able to directly go back, at least on my dad's side. I think it might be the same case on my mom's, but I'm able to go back to my great grandparents. But that's only because there's a cemetery. Yeah. And in that cemetery it shows like who
was where.
Yeah, who's where. Yeah, it shows the pictures. Some of them are drawn. Like it was like seeing your family history.
Yeah, like right in front of you. Yeah.
So I believe a lot of villages would have something like that. Yeah. So it's like once you find somebody close, then you can get those other steps.
Yeah. And that's the thing too with slavery that makes it so difficult, is like you said, so many of those records weren't taken, names were changed, etc. And then you get into like, the mix, but like my family has like a lot of like cross and mix and stuff, because one of my great grandmothers was a slave who married an owner. And I told you this story I think before maybe. So that's even a weirder thing, because you're like,
now I'm sure you're trying to hide that.
Exactly, you're trying to hide that, so it's like this is a hidden level, but so many people don't even have that, so it's like you're just another number. You're just another. But what's interesting is, at least in America, because that's the thing too, is like these slaves weren't just from America. Like a lot of times we think about slavery in America, but it's from all over. You're trading from South America, England, wherever. So you could have had a family member who was, shipped up in England, came down that way. Right. But a lot of the American, when you look at the, what's it called? The census, it'll have like slave, and it's like age this, like worked in the house and all that stuff. So if you go on Ancestry.com, I recommend anyone do it really. You can kind of figure out some of that lineage. Like I said, at some point you do hit a point where it just doesn't have that data. Yeah. So I think for me, I made it back to like 1800 something like that.
That's pretty far.
It's I know I was pretty far. I was impressed, but after a certain point, it's like you said, they just didn't care.
Yeah. But I wondered with that though. I think maybe a direct. I don't even know. Like I'm trying to figure out if there's a way you could trace it all the way.
Yeah. So there are like, a lot of that was American workers. I think you can pay and open up to go world, but even there, it's probably going to be pretty tricky to figure out because I mean, you even look with like Irish history, right? Like they came over and said, "Oh, that's not your name. You're going to be John Smith or whatever," or like, "Oh, you work in the field. All right, you're John Fields." You know what I mean? Like so, but. That's fascinating what you said about the graveyard because so in Africa I'm assuming then that there's not a lot of travel is that from like village to village because here it's like my grandparents are buried here and then my great grandmother's buried in Georgia and you know what I mean so what's that like? Are people not, or is it that you just get buried back home?
So yeah, it's mostly that like. You'll get buried back home because that's in the case of my grandmother, even if she'd left, and I think it'll be the same case for my father. Yeah. Like that was his home, and so his tribe is there, the people are there, so the same sort of celebration of life they'll have for him. But a lot of people do travel out. My cousins that were there. A lot of them are in different parts of Ghana. Interestingly enough, I learned that there is some animosity between North and like Middle and South Ghana. Oh yeah? Yeah, it's like North Ghana was not really talked about. Like
why is that?
I don't know. My brother was interested though. He asked all of my family members. He was like, "Oh, have you ever been to the North?" They're like, "No." And then my grandpa was like, I did one time, and he, like
interesting,
and he just never went.
And see, like that's what's cool too. Not to interrupt, but it's like you went over there and you have all these questions, and even some of those questions are like, we can't talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just it feels like kind of like frivolous, but there's just like over there, it's like that's just the way it is, and that's, especially with the older generation, it's like there's not a willingness to shift any sort of mindset.
See that, and that's funny. That's that Western mindset that we have, where it's like, no, I got to get to the bottom of it. It's like that Karen inside of us. We're like, hey, can I speak to a manager type of thing? Like man, what you mean we can't talk about the North? Like, y'all don't got the internet? But yeah, no, that would be so. I'm sure you'd be fascinated to figure out, and I'm sure you could try to Google it maybe and find a little bit, but it also could be just a personal thing too.
I think it might be personal because like even the way some of my uncles are describing it, they were like, oh, the North, they're just like a whole different. Their way of life is so different from ours, and this and that. Yeah. And, the interesting part about it is Ghana has a bunch of different languages. I don't know how many exactly. Yeah. But around Ghana, I would see different signs saying one language, one Ghana, and so that's like a political movement that's being led. I don't know which language they mean. I know English is listed as the national language. Okay. But the Ashanti language, the language that me, my family, and a lot of people within Kumasi and the Ashanti region speak is Tree. Tree. Yeah. Okay. And but like when you leave Kumasi, you can't really speak Tree to everybody, like in the surrounding areas. But when you go to Accra, you can't expect to speak Tree and people respond.
So how is that? Like, that they find out if you're Tree or not, or you can speak Tree or not? Is it
you just give it a go?
Just give it a go. Yeah.
You just say something like you go it's sing or
And so what if they don't speak Tree, then what do you just switch over to English?
Yeah, just English. Yeah. Okay. For the most part, if especially in Accra, a lot of people can speak English because there's a lot of people, Nigerian, Liberian, a lot of different people come from around to.
That's another interesting stereotype as well. Is like I feel like a lot of people think that I go over to Africa, what am I gonna do? Like I don't speak the language, but it's like there's definitely this global push to have like one language, one people kind of thing. What do you think about the whole idea? I mean, like, everyone talks about Akon going over there and like, where was he supposed to? I don't think he was in Ghana, was he?
No, it's Senegal, I think.
Yeah, Senegal. Yeah. What do you think about like that whole idea of like, us being Westerners kind of now to them, like going back and trying to like give electricity and kind of I mean I can't think of another word other than saying like westernize it. Really,
yeah.
Like do you know how people feel about that? Do they think it's a good idea, bad? Like,
well, currently, China is kind of pushing that right now with I call it like a new imperialism, where they're giving out these big loans for infrastructure within not just Ghana but other African countries. Yeah. But personally, what I do, me personally, I feel like I want to personally contribute. Yeah. I feel like people who go and they're compelled to. I feel like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In my family's particular case, and what I've seen from my uncles, they give back tremendously.
Good.
Like
Great.
They build homes. They built like they've given money for all sorts of different things, caretakers, things like that.
Yeah. More life.
So, more life. Exactly. For me, I want to. Now that I've seen it and experienced it, I want to do more. Like I want to, I want to open businesses there, give people opportunities, things like that. Yeah. And so, but I do think too that if people go like that, those are things that they should think about personally doing because you'll have control over that. Yeah. Like land that you buy there, it's yours. Yeah. You don't pay. Anybody this or that. Yeah. You can have somebody live there while you're gone. Yep. And it could be their home when you get there.
Yeah, I see. That's it's one of those things I've always wondered is like, well, going back to the Hawaii example, for example, they don't really like when mainlanders come over. Yeah. And like just completely ignore the culture and they're blasting whatever rock music and stuff like that. So I've always been like curious because like. I've always think like, these Italian people, there's so many in Boston. It's like you can always go back to Italy and you have some infrastructure there and, your Nana's there and all this stuff. Same thing with Irish people, then go back, whatever, French people, whatever. And I'm like, but for us, we don't really have anywhere we can go back. So it's like, even like that that racist remark people make, go back to your country.
And now it's like that's even way more mind-boggling now. Because it's like I can't imagine the rage you would feel when you're like looking and you're thinking
like, go back to your country. I'm like, first off, one, this is our country. Right. Two, where is that?
Yeah. You tell me.
That is insane. Exactly. So I mean, I've always been curious, and I hope there is a shift where it's like people start looking at Africa the same way they do England, France, Russia, wherever, and Africa is so big. It's like you said, it's like even in Ghana, there's multiple languages. So like it's like being from Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, Egypt, wherever. It's like people should probably start thinking about those places as like it's probably less. It's less California, New York, Boston, and more England, France, Germany, right?
Yeah. I would like culturally. The more like. The English that they speak is more English rather than American.
Right. Yeah. So, like British English. Yeah.
British English. Yeah. And so, that's where they adopt most of the like the English stuff, like the spelling of words and things like that. So, but like infrastructure wise, it's definitely its own thing. Like a lot of the addresses are still confusing me. I don't know how people know this or this. They have like these little postal addresses on it, which I heard was recent, that somebody can plug in and they can go to wherever it is.
Like a Google Maps kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. But it's just, for me, confusing because I'm used to, like, it feels a lot more simple.
Yeah, so, of course. That's a good transition, actually. So, I got you something here, man.
Okay. Actually, I got you something too. I should put this up too.
So I got this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Lion. I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
So this movie is it stars Dev Patel, and basically he lives in India. He gets lost, and he ends up becoming an orphan. He gets adopted, and he gets adopted by this Australian couple. And obviously, being a little Indian boy growing up in Australia, you're like, man, these people don't look like me. Yeah. These people, and he couldn't get out of his head because he had a life back in India when he was a little boy. He got lost when he was about like 6 or something like that. But so what happens? He goes out with his brother, like on their normal routine. They get split up and lost during like a rush, and he can't find his brother. can't find his home, doesn't know how to go back to his mother. So as he gets older, he lives his life and he's like trying to balance this weird thing, similar to kind of what, you know, you and I are talking about, being American and African and being like, I don't fit here, but I do fit here. And so what he does is, without spoiling it, the whole idea is he uses Google Maps to kind of track his way back to his village. And
he's way
as he's older, when he gets older, and but like there's just little things he sees, like he's like in Australia he goes and like I think one of his classmates is Indian, and they're like, man, you never had that before, and he's kind of sitting there like, damn, that's crazy, like every other Indian person knows this but me.
Yes, okay,
you know, so then it kind of makes him start feeling and like thinking his identity and questioning things. And he also is weird because he's like, you know, I love my mother, I love Australian culture, all this stuff. This is, you know, what raised me. But like inside, like, who am I?
Right.
So I thought this was a great thing. And I know not everyone uses Blu-ray. I love Blu-ray, but there's a digital on there too, so you can get that straight to your computer. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm still trying to get one of these posters back here with Dev, but I really want you to check that out, and anyone else too. And it's just. It's a story obviously about India, but I think it can relate to anything. So wanted you to have that, my man, and I felt like it was very metaphorical for your trip.
As soon as you like went into the identity crisis, it's definitely something that I was anxious about before going. Yeah. Because I know, like me personally, you know, I don't speak Tree like well. Like, I didn't speak it at home, so like the Tree that I'm able to speak, it's almost like if somebody took a class and they learned Tree. Like,
so you know, like, hello, how are you?
Exactly.
Where's the bathroom?
Exactly, things like that. So when I was out there, I was kind of like, I was in a flow, and it felt like comfortable. So I was saying words, and like I was able to communicate with like my cousins, my grandparents, who my grandpa only spoke Tree. And I was able to have conversations with him, but it was only because I was like put in that spot. But before, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm Ghanaian enough or this or that. But I mean, at some point, I also thought to myself, like, you know, like I've lived my whole life Ghanaian. My household is entirely Ghanaian. Right. And you know, I went to church, and it was a predominantly Ghanaian church, and so every city that I lived in is predominantly Ghanaian, like Worcester, and New Jersey, Newark was predominantly Ghanaian.
So it's like it's your home away from home.
Exactly. I found my homes away from home.
Exactly. Perfect, man. So if there was one thing, because I know we're getting kind of crazy on time, are we right here? Oh yeah. So if there's one thing that you could take away, and we'll have I'll come back to talk about all these stuff, man. I mean, this is not a conversation that is you could fill in one conversation. You know what I mean? If there was one thing you could take away from the trip, what would it be? And if there's one thing that you could recommend others who are, you know, in America who want to go out there and figure that out, what would it be?
So the one big takeaway I would say is that I learned that. And this is a ongoing thing that I've been. It's almost like my oyster is cracking in different levels. Yeah. When I first traveled from here to the Midwest, like my eyes opened up on like, wow, the world is a lot bigger than it was. Yeah. And the same thing happened when I went to Ghana, in a different way, because I was able to meet up with an old friend of mine. He was. Originally, we went to school together. He was in my brother's class. Yeah. He left around middle school, and then I caught up with him. You know, I texted him. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Ghana. Meet up?" And we met and we talked and had a chance to really get his perspective on like how Ghana was, and in all that time. So right now he's teaching at a school, and him and his siblings, a school that his mother built. And so, you know, they're taking in kids, and like the kids have to pay, or the parents have to pay for the kids' school fees. Like the government doesn't pay for that. So it brought to light a lot of different things, but it made me very grateful of the fact that I have this dual like this kind of dual lifestyle. And that like I can have somewhere to go and have that comfort and just kind of feel like that home away from home. My biggest takeaway is just the fact that I was able to find that within myself, like that. That's a feeling that's never gonna go away, and it kind of like coming back. I almost feel different because I'm secure in that part. Where before, like for majority of my life, I wasn't.
Yeah. You were like, who am I, and what's my background and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you'll take many more trips back.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's like this is almost like a stepping stone for you to really be like, all right, these are my people. I do have a home. There's no confusion here, right? Yeah. Right. That's nice to hear, man. And then
my suggestion to people, my suggestion to somebody who wants to just travel to a third world country for whatever reason.
Or developing country. Whatever we say. Yeah,
right terms. Yeah.
Listen, I want you to get canceled by Africa, man. Like, they're like, whoa, yeah, I thought you was with us, brother.
Yeah. Imagine. God knows I mean no disrespect. But like, but anybody who's traveling outside of the country, I should say. Take the time to experience the culture around, because America lacks in that severely. It's almost like when I was out there, the saturation was higher. Like visually, the saturation was higher.
Yeah. And that's crazy.
When I came back, it was like great. I was like,
yes, that's a big thing, dude. It's like you'll never understand until you leave, but like we're so industrial here. Yes. Like the air is gray, man. Yes. Like the air is gray. Like the vibes are gray. Exactly. Like, you know what I mean?
I came back. It was like the temperature was like 50 something degrees. Yeah. I was used to like it was between 80 and 90. Yeah. So it was cold. And then leaving the airport, it was literally great. Boston, it was just like gray sky, foggy. I was like, man, this is
the great LL Cool J said, you gotta feel the vibes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Gotta feel the vibes, you know?
You gotta really feel the vibes. See,
like, you know, and when you get back to America, the vibes are off. You're like, it's like, it's no disrespect, but it's just the air and like even the pace that people move. You're just like boom, 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 always going like. And it's 100 miles per hour.
It's silent too as people are walking. Yeah. Out there, you like even as you're driving, people are just having conversations here. You stop to say hi to someone, they'll talk to you, even if they can't talk to you. Like it's just a different world. And
it's funny too because like I got a quick funny story. My coworker is from Egypt. And so she has a different experience from being from Africa, but you know, she still considers, you know, she's like, I mean, I'm African, of course, you know, and but people look at Egypt and even Egyptians like, nah, you guys aren't African, but it doesn't even make sense. But like for whatever reason, it's like an American's mindset. It's like, oh, Egypt's developed. Egypt's developed, so that's not Africa. But she's like, nah, I'm African. And when she first got hired, we were like, I was personally worried because she got an African name, and so I'm like, man, I hope these colonizers could just say her name and try. And that's a big thing. It's like, nah, we're not gonna call you, you know, Yao. We're gonna call you Y.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's a little thing, and you're like, whatever. It's just a nickname. It's just it reinforces this idea of like, nah, you're in America, so accept our culture and our way. Right. And it's like, what it really should be is, well, this is America. There is no culture. It's a blend of everything. You know. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that speaks to not even just developing countries. You go anywhere, like I said try McDonald's, but that's a supplementary thing to you trying a local place around you. Absolutely. And obviously be safe. You know, look around, look at reviews. I mean that's the beauty. We're in the internet age. Is you can look up stuff nowadays. Yes. So you know you don't have to be all afraid of this place sketchy and all that stuff. And if you can. Try and, you know, find a local that you can... There's plenty of people, actually, if you go on Facebook groups and or YouTube, whatever, who are, like, happy to. Like, honest to God, if any of you guys are listening to this from Africa, wherever, Europe, and you like, hey, I'm coming to Massachusetts, and you need somewhere to, you know, stay or figure out, just honestly hit us up. We're like happy to be like show you around. And, I mean, like we need more of that in America, like that cultural hand holding and just blending and being communicable.
Yeah, willingness to make people feel comfortable
and welcome.
And
welcome. Exactly. All right, man. So before we head out, you said that you had something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got you and Carly some gifts. Let me show it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So now for our audio listeners here, describe this for us. What are we looking at here?
Right. So we have both male and female masks. These are like old like war masks that people in the Ashanti tribe used to wear. It's decorative, of course, but it's in the similar fashion. It would be way bigger and
this is beautiful, man.
Sturdy,
Shoot, man.
Yeah.
I'm speechless right now. I appreciate this, dude.
No problem.
So one of these is it's got like an elephant on it. It's orange and black. It's a mask, very thin, like you would expect. No disrespect, almost like an alien shaped kind of head, like an oval kind of thing. And then the other one, it's got an elephant facing the opposite way, the opposite direction, and it's all black. So which one is the male and the female? Do you know?
I was told that this one is the female, the one that with the browner, the orange.
Or brown,
tint.
Yep.
And then the black one was the male.
The male one. Lovely. All right, Leah, let me show it off again one more time. Yeah. Beautiful, man. I appreciate it. Hey, listen, I'm definitely going to be hanging those up so you guys will see them a lot more often. I appreciate it. Yao, my man, thank you so much for being my
Thank you for having me,
guest on here, man. You're my dog. What else do you have going on? Tell the world. Let us know.
Right now, I'm apartment shopping, and once I find my apartment, hopefully by the end of this month, I'm gonna hop right back on Twitch.
Yep.
I promised my guy Zerx, this is a shout out to you.
Shout out Zerx.
I told you I was gonna play Red Dead Redemption.
Ooh.
I'm gonna play that, and that's gonna be my first stream back on Twitch. So.
Hey, when you do that, let me know because I would love to. This is like stream inception, but I would love to watch you play and react to you playing like live. Yeah. Just be like, oh man, like what's he about to do? Like left, right, whatever. Yeah.
Oh man, and you already know we played games together. Yeah, it's a riot. Like
you'll very fun.
Pick up some stuff. So it'll be fun.
And what's going on with you in the TikTok world?
TikTok, I'm all right. So most recently, I've just been in this poop rut.
Yeah.
Right now, that's the saga that I'm in.
Oh, so you're making like toilet jokes and all.
It's like for me, it's hilarious. It's just
Let me tell you, someone who is not Carly. Carly hates it, man. And so it's not really in my humor backpack. Yeah. But every once in a while, I'll pull it out, and she's just like, "Man, you nasty." But man, if you get it right, it's just so funny.
For real. Oh
it's
my
so
God.
Funny, yeah.
For me, it's just like I don't know. It's almost like a phase.
Yeah.
I just need to get through it.
Yeah, I was going through puberty on TikTok.
So it's like once I get through this poop phase, I'm trying to get through it by doing boomerang videos.
Yep.
It's a whole process, but I'm coping. I mean, please help me cope with this issue.
Following,
anybody following
engaging.
me, please just bear with me. I will get through this and go back to Remble videos, whatever.
Remble videos, man. Remble got to pay you at this point.
At this point, I need to see something.
Like I said, follow us both. I'll link them in the description if you're listening to audio as well. Right now, man, I got a couple silly TikToks going on back and forth. I'm trying to focus in more and do more like YouTube. I think that's where I really want to go.
That's the way.
My boy Madrana, I think he's perfected the craft. He actually does a lot of African videos and stuff too. He's got a little African, well not little, but he's got a medium-sized African following, I think.
Oh, sure.
He watches a lot of videos. He watches like the reality stuff and reacts to it.
That's big out there. Reality TV is huge.
Man. I'm jealous. And see, and this is the thing that to again bring this all full circle is like his family's Haitian, but he also has family I think out there. So like he can make these references on YouTube and like kind of dive in. For me, I'm like, dang, like I don't have that cultural pull that I can pull from, you know?
For me, I feel like I'm nervous to do it because there's levels, I feel. Like I'm watching different Ghanaian TikTokers and the accuracy is like amazing. I'm like, this is true to me.
Yeah.
But the accent's on point. Like like they can speak the language. And for me, if I were to do it, it'd be cringy.
You feel, no, that's the thing. It's like you feel like, you're like, man, like, one, am I biting someone? Two, like, I'm a part of that world, but like, that's not my world.
Exactly.
You know? But I'm sure there's an avenue somewhere to find that like mix between like, oh, look, the American being the Ghanaian or whatever the case may be. I mean, I would be happy, and I'm sure, like you said, it just sounds like Africa's open. I would love to learn more about, my background, being Nigerian and what's that like and all that. And that'll be and you, I would love for you to be my my guide, to help me get through that and figure out, man, start with this reading, start with this movie, start with this show, because I'm sure, that there's a ton of people out there, same like you and I, who want to know. And it might even be cool too. It's like I said, we start out and be like, what is the national song? And then I play the Nigerian song, you play the Ghanaian song, we just talk about it and sit around like, I don't know, man. I don't know what you think about that, but I think that'd be a lot of fun. Right.
Yeah. I think just exploring the cultures and the face value is huge, because then that barrier that you were talking about before about like, that your friend was able to just dive in and pull from that, you can get that on a surface level. Like, you can do that with Ghana because you know that Ghanaian people are named off the days of the week. There's those certain things that on a surface level you can just jump into, but exploring it more, I think that's a great way to, one, that part of you that wants to explore your family, even if directly you don't find out that your great-great-grandfather was this person, you'll at least know
this is what he did. This is what he did.
Exactly. And that already is like a
very valuable, man. I mean, because I think even just like one day if I have kids, it's like that I can let, like, I live this, and this ain't my parents' fault or anything, but it's like I can live this world to be like, hey, this is how your parents lived. Yes. And, they chitlins and all this stuff, man. Chitlins are disgusting, by the way. I mean, if you eat chitlins, man, you need a therapist. But if, like, to be like, this is how the people before we even thought of, this is how they lived their lifestyle, and, like, this is who they were. This is in your DNA. Interestingly enough, like, this isn't just a black person's thing either. I mean, like, Carly is white, and she's like, I don't know my family's background. We don't know at all. And, like, I've talked to her parents too. They're like,
but that's the thing.
No idea.
It's like, and the fault of it is whoever comes. Like, a lot of times, whoever is coming, that decision is like a selfish one, and you kind of like, all right, I'm going to the new world. I'm leaving all of this behind. Right. But it's for the benefit of like the trying future. To start something new.
Right. Exactly. Right. And it's like, and like we're looking at this now from the perspective of 2021, but it's like, if you're in the 1800s, you're like, man, I got to get rid of this accent and all this stuff so I can get a job and people listen to me. Because, like, back in the day, they come and be like, man, what the hell are you talking about? What do you say? Exactly. Xenophobia is huge. It's bad now, but back then it's like...
It was everything. You had to sound exactly what Americans sound like.
Right. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day about the radio. Like, that radio voice is like, coming to you now from New York and blah, 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 blah. And it's like kind of that, it was like weird nasally sound that they had. That was this intercontinental sound that if you were going to be on radio, you had to learn it. Because it was like, it sounded like you were coming from England, but you're also from America and also from the South. So there was like a blend of them all. So that's why when you listen to those old radios and it's like, Barry Bonds is up there next. Like, it's like, that was something they had to train. And so,
that's nuts.
So it's the same thing. Like, so a lot of people, they didn't want to get rid of their identity because they were ashamed, but it was kind of like an opportunity. This is what they call America. America, the land of opportunity, all that. So in order to get these opportunities, you had to, it's kind of like, in a modern day sense, it's like people say black people have a white voice, if you will, or a work voice or something like that. That is slowly going away. Because I think now it's kind of like getting more culturally acceptable to be like, nah, just be you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Now they've got diversity officers.
Right, exactly.
But I also want to note, too, that I love this part of your podcast because it's always the fun facts at the very end.
Yeah.
This is true to the theme.
I appreciate that. Yeah. See, that's the thing is like, so I try to get the little fun facts at the end, but I was like, the whole episode's gonna be a fun fact, man. Like, I think there's a lot for us to learn. But all right, man. Thank you so much for showing up, bro. Like I said again, dog. Absolutely. I appreciate it, my man. Again, you want to follow?
Real quick, this is one thing. I almost did it to you right now. So handshakes. It's this, and then you snap at the end.
Yeah.
I've been trying to shake loose of it because that's all I've been doing. But sorry.
Wait, so is that something they do over there or here?
So it's like a this, then this, and then you snap towards the end, like right there. Yeah,
that's crazy because where I grew up in Mattapan, like, you know, this is what the gangsters did to each other. They were like, "Yo, what's good?" And they would always snap.
Yeah.
And like you never know where these things come from.
Yeah.
You never know, and that's where it comes from. That's crazy. But all right, like I said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Check out Yao over on TikTok and Instagram or everywhere else. Jumpinonanotherjet. And he will definitely be back. Thank you so much for being my first guest, man.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. And remember, everyone, at the end of the day, just be you. Alrighty.
Shorty from Barbados. Did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Well, I can't find your halo. Last time I seen a shorty like you, my crib had cable. I don't remember the last time that my crib had cable. Take my hand, I'll say, hey, shorty from Barbados. Did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Well, I can't find your halo.